Hi everybody, welcome to School Age Crafts for today at Riverdale Public Library. I'm Ms. Helen. Today we are doing part 2 of making paper beads. And as you can see, last time we made these two. Okay, this was a bead that was made with 5 different strips of paper. And then we used some patterned paper to make a bead out of 1 strip of paper. But all of you should have your kits from last time with the templates and some colored paper. And today you will also need to find patterned paper from anywhere in the house. It could be from a magazine that needs to be recycled. It could be from an old postcard. It could be from wallpaper pattern samples. It could be from a gift bag. That blue and silver bead I made last time was from a gift bag that I took apart. So we're going to use the colored paper that's in your kits. We're going to use the templates that you cut out last time. And we're going to make beads from 2 more of those templates. And we're also going to finish a bead that we made with the plain strip template using some patterned paper. So a lot of times around the house you're going to have bits of scrap paper from doing crafts. And you might also have colored patterned paper. Like I said, it could be even from a magazine. I cut up some of these postcards. And I'm going to take this bead, which I started using a plain strip like this, and then a plain purple strip like this that was skinnier, and we're going to finish it off using a skinnier strip of patterned paper. Okay, so I have one right over here. There's 2 different shades of pink. And all we're going to do is, just like last time, we're going to take our last strip, which is the skinniest one. We're going to put some glue on the bottom, and we're going to start wrapping the bead on the stick. Actually, I mean, this bead was already done, but it's a good idea if you keep using your stick. It's easier to handle everything. So I'm going to put the bead back on the stick, and we're going to start out by putting it right in the middle. Remember, I said last time it has to be smack in the middle, and as you wrap it tightly. So I'm just going to wrap it once or twice to make sure that I did it evenly. Okay. And since the glue isn't dry, I can always move it over. I can adjust it as needed until I feel that the strip of paper is tight and even right in the middle of the existing part of the bead. So I'm going to keep wrapping it. I've wrapped it partly. Now I'm going to check. You guys have a look. You tell me if this is even enough. And I'm going to finish wrapping it. Make sure the end is on very tightly. And now we have a 3-layered bead. And the last part is 2 different colors. So we've given it some more color and variety. And I'm going to hold it and just make sure it sticks all the way. Now, the last time I showed you at the end of class that you can use nail polish remover or Mod Podge to give it a shiny coating at the end, but again, wait until your end is really, the glue is dry and the end is stuck. Okay, so while we're waiting for this bead to dry, we're going to take another one of the templates. This one looks like two skinny legs or a very long tooth. Put it on a walrus mask or something. So this this template makes a very interestingly shaped bead. I will show you what one looks like when using patterned paper. So have a good look at this bead. That's the shape that will be made by this template. So we're going to try that today. The other, sorry guys, the other template we're going to use looks kind of like that triangle one we used last time, but it's not, because the side that I'm holding is on a slant, but the other side goes straight up and down. It's not on a slant. And in that way it is different from the other triangle where both sides are on a slant. And this template will make a bead shaped like this. Okay, more almost like a cone. Not quite a cone, it's not pointy at the top, but it'll make a cone shape. So we're going to try those two shapes today. I think we should practice first with some plain paper, because this, especially with this one, because this one can be tricky to roll, because you don't, it's hard to roll all at the same time. Sometimes you have to roll this side and then that side. So you want to practice with a plain piece of paper, and then find a patterned piece of paper to make your final bead from. Okay, so I think this is almost dry. I'm really holding it down. Maybe I'll smear a little glue on top. Okay, I'm going to put this one aside, and we are going to work on, we're going to cut out, we're going to draw, using the template, we're going to draw a strip like this, and make sure the two tops are even. Okay, and it's going to look like this, whatever color you want to use. Like I said, it looks better with patterned, but we can practice on plain paper. Okay, now remember last time I said that when we start wrapping a bead, we always start from the wide end. Okay, so here's the wide part. So so you can stop the tape here to finish cutting this out, and then start it again. And when you start again, we will do this section first. So I will put some glue here, one side, our trusty stick. Now, if you remember, the reason we use a skinny stick is then the hole will be smaller. If you use a straw or a pencil, it'll still work, but the hole will be much bigger. Okay, so now I have started to roll this onto the stick. And really tuck that paper in, make sure it goes around very tightly. like so. Okay. And since your glue isn't quite dry yet, if it's too loose, you pull it open, roll it back a little, start over. And with this template, with this shape, you want to roll it only up to the part where it divides. All right, so maybe stick a little more glue there, only up to that part, and then stop there. Roll it and roll it and roll it, keeping it even, just like any of the other templates. Okay, and now we've stopped right where they split off. Now at this point, you'll find it easier to wrap one side at a time. The challenging part is, just like with any other strip, you still need to keep the sides even. So this side, the outer side of your strip, needs to be kept straight. So you might be holding down one side with my thumb, but I'm not going to work on that side now. I'm going to work on rolling this side. So I'm going to, just like the others, I'm going to take some glue. And some glue down on one side. Remember, one side only. And we are keeping it even, okay? Keep pulling it tight, keep pulling it even, and start wrapping it around the stick, keeping a close eye on the edge to make sure it stays as even as possible. Keep wrapping, 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 wrapping. And we're going to keep tight periodically. You want to stop and tighten it, okay? Or add more glue as you need it. Keep wrapping and tightening it as you wrap it until you have reached the end. And make sure that end is glued. Okay, and remember, you're going to see that that skinny part is still going to wind up kind of in the middle of this section. Okay, so now we've done one half. If you look closely, you can see how it, because of the shape of that strip, how it's thicker on this end than in the middle. Now we're going to work on the other side and do the same thing. Put some glue down. Make sure it's straight and even on the outer side. And just keep wrapping, tightening, wrapping, wrapping. Pull it tight. Wrap. Pull it tight. Wrap. Pull it tight. Keep going. Add some more glue at the end. Almost there. And at this point, that triangle is going to start moving toward the middle a little bit. The other one did. And you want to make sure it's completely down, completely glued. Again, sometimes you gotta, especially with that skinny end, you gotta hold it until the glue dries. I'm going to go back to my other one. See, my other one came undone a little bit at the end, so I'm going to put more glue there and put that down as well. And so now there is your new, oops, still down, still up, all the way down. So now there's your bead shape. Like I said, it's good to practice with plain paper first, get the hang of it, and then use fancier paper. Or what you could do, you know, we talked about layering beads. You could even, I'm going to take a strip of another pattern, like this one. I'm going to take a tiny little strip of this and just a little strip. We don't need a whole lot. You know how skinny this is, but it's got some color to it. So we can even wrap that one around the middle if we want. So same way, put glue at one end. Place it around the middle of the bead. And we want the bead to keep that rounded shape where it kind of curves in the middle. So we don't want this strip to be really long. And again, we need to make it tight. Make sure the glue is on. Okay, so I've put it around the middle, like that. And I'm tying it around. Putting some more glue in the end. Whoops, not quite. It's sticking very well. Just make sure it's tight, make sure it sticks. If it comes undone, you just put more glue on and try again. Then hold the end, and so it sticks. And again, look, see this end still came undone. Gotta keep at it until it does what we want it to, which is stick. Okay, so I put more glue on that stubborn end that does not want to stick. And I'm gonna wrap it, hold it. And now we have a bead with a belt. And when the ends are dry, we can put Mod Podge or nail polish remover on it to make it sturdier and shinier. Okay, so now that we tried it with plain paper though, let's try it with some patterned paper. Okay, well, I started to cut out this page. So now these cards I have are not as long as the templates you have. I still managed to do it. I made the bead like this with a paper this size. But if you want to make yours longer, then you're going to have an even bigger bead. So, so I'm going to take this. I'm going to make a template like this one. Okay, I'm going to use that template to cut out shape. Let's see what it does. So let's take our template, take a patterned piece of paper, here, let's see, the table, tracing. I'm just making it a little shorter because my paper is shorter. But it still works. Okay, then I'm going to cut out that part. Okay, and there we have it. Okay, so now we're going to take our stick. I'm going to take the other bead off temporarily until we put coating on it. And remember, take the wider end, put some glue down. And make sure that it is very tight and even on the stick, on the wide part. But also only roll it up to where the paper splits. And if you need to unroll it because it's not tight enough, well, your glue is not dry, so you can still do that. It's better to fix mistakes while the glue is still wet. Okay, so now I've rolled it to where the paper splits. And I'm looking at it, I'm looking it over, I'm tightening it a little bit, pulling this down some, pulling it straight. And remember, when you roll it up, you're just rolling it up one part at a time. Okay, so then we're going to put some more glue on one side, the side we're going to roll. And remember, you want to keep the outer part even as we wrap it. Okay, so now I've put some glue down on just this side only, and we're going to start wrapping it. And again, keep it tight as you go along, keep it even, keep pulling it, and yeah, see, this came unwrapped a little bit. I'm going to roll it again. I just want to get that right. Okay, so now this is ready to wrap. Pulling it as it goes along, be nice and even. Pull, add more glue. I mean, you could use regular glue with this. I find glue stick works fine too. Either one. Just you want to use a glue that doesn't stain, so it doesn't show, because you're always going to have extra glue and you don't want it to show up on the bead. You know, these purple glue sticks, the purple kind of fades away, so it doesn't stay purple. Okay, so now I've wound, it's nice and tight. I've wound that first side, and now I'm going to do the same thing with the second. Add glue, make sure it is tight and even on the outer side as I wind it. Pulling as you need to. And now the last part needs some glue. I'm going to wind it. Whoops. I'm going to wind it. Came loose. Just tighten it again. Winding it, winding it. But this is why you want to have like tough paper so that you can pull without it ripping. And now we've reached the end, and we want to make sure that that last tip stays down. Add a little glue to both ends, hold them down a bit. Okay, and now this bead is done. And again, we just used one strip of paper, but because it had a pattern on it, it looks pretty awesome. Okay, and it's going to look even better when we put coating on it. Okay. Let's go back to the other bead, and we're going to coat that one first. We can put it back on the stick. And yeah, you got to keep holding these ends down because it's so stiff at that point that they kind of pop back up. Keep just adding glue and make sure that it stays there. Okay, so you know what, since we're still trying to get these to hold down, let's go back to the other template I want to do today, which is the uneven triangle. Okay, and that's going to make a shape like this. And that's actually easier. It's basically, we did one with two sides, wrapping two different triangles on this one. And this one, it's just one. But this one can be tricky because, again, you have to keep the sides even as you're wrapping. Otherwise, it's not going to look as good. So let's take, let's try a new pattern. How about this one? We got checkerboard here. Okay, so this is easy because this side is already straight up and down, but we want to cut a triangle. This is straight up and down. We want the slant of the triangle to go this way. So I'm going to, and if you're using your template and you have a longer piece of paper, that's what you're going to trace. But this is short here, so I'm going to just put it up to here. Okay, and I'm going to cut that. I mean, I'm not measuring my strip sizes now. With a template, you know, each one is going to be exactly the same. It's a good idea to measure them because then you know what size your beads are going to look like. If you don't care if your beads are different sizes, that's okay. You can just draw your triangle or uneven triangle or strip, and it doesn't matter as long as as you know, your sides aren't ragged. But if you want to keep them the same size, you do want to use a ruler or a template, and keep an eye on that. So, all right, I am going to just cut an uneven triangle this way. So we have something like this, all right? And as you can see, this side is straight up and down, and this side is slanted. So, well, these two beads are waiting. I'm going to do the same thing with this as I did with all of the rest. Start out with the wider side. Okay, let's have a look here. Put my glue down, bottom, and then I'm going to start wrapping it around and keeping it tight. And with this one, very important, straight up and down, okay? Has to be even, straight up and down. Let's wrap it tightly, as usual. Just start at that very end. And again, you might have to roll it and unroll it a few times before it works. But again, the main thing is that that outer side has to stay straight up and down. And it has to be tight. Okay, so now I've started it on the stick, okay? And I'm going to do the same thing as I do with everything else, keep rolling it, but this side, this is the straight side, has to stay even as you wrap it. It needs to keep lining up with the part that came before it. And that can be really hard to do with this one. Keep wrapping it, keep an eye on it, make sure it is straight and tight. Take your time. See, it's loose here. I'm unwinding it, rewinding it. Pulling it over, pulling it under, pulling it hard. Now I'm going to get the glue on the end. Do that last part. I've kept it as even as I could on this end, on the straight end. And that last bit, hold that down so that it stays. And let that dry. And let's go back to these guys. Still not sticking completely. This is when good old liquid glue might do the trick a little better, because there's so much of it. There's glue sticks, it's very limited what goes on. Okay. So once all of these are dry, here, let's have a look at what this looks like. Here you've got this cylindrical bead with different colors because of that pattern that we had. So now let's take our nail polish or Mod Podge, whatever you're going to use as a coating. And we're going to coat our beads so that they are shiny and a little stronger. Okay, so you know, and when you're doing it on the stick, you can kind of roll them around a little so that you get all sides. But if you miss a spot, you just go back. Now remember, as I said last time, beads are not just for jewelry. In the old days, they used to use paper beads to make curtains. They would make lots and lots and lots of them and then string them together to make beaded curtains. And whole groups of people would get together and hang out and just make all these beads so that they could, in the end, put them together for the Great Curtain Project. Okay, so now we've got, take a look at this one. It is now nice and shiny. There you go. And now we'll move on to the middle one. And even this plain, look at the difference between, on this plain piece of paper, the difference between the coated paper and the uncoated paper looks much better when it's got a coating on it. And from now on, you will always find something around your house to make paper beads out of. Old magazines, scrap paper, stationery, gift bags. I like gift bags because, you know, wrapping papers, you know, there's nice patterns, but it's not very stiff. So it's not the best paper for this, but gift bag paper tends to be stiffer and reinforced, so it does work well. Okay, so now we have our nice shiny, well, not quite shiny, we missed a side. Let's get that last bit. Shiny middle bead. Again, those ends are still, they're still giving me a hard time. In the end, I would suggest, if you've got a small scissor, maybe cutting off those ends, or just keeping at them with the glue. Or just being more patient and holding onto them longer than I did. Okay, so now we've got the middle one going, and let's do that last one. And this cylinder shape is good if you are making jewelry like earrings. these beads work, this shape works really well. I'll show you why. With the cylinder shape, what you do is you could stick a pin through it with a loop and just have it hang down. So I think these work very well for earrings. But in any case, that coating makes everything look better. So use it. Okay, so have fun with your bead making. If you lose your templates, just remember long, skinny triangles do the trick most of the time. Or walrus teeth. That's what I call that, the one we made this one out of. And you can't fail. So enjoy, have fun, collect lots of scrap paper, do lots of things, and we'll probably be making some more projects. Not beads, but we'll be doing some more projects with scrap paper because, you know, we use up a lot of paper, and besides throwing it into recycling, we can recycle it by making things. So, have a great day, everybody. Enjoy, and see you next time.